The girl tugged at her skirt, trying to cover her shapely thighs. Unexpectedly, it only aroused the brute instincts of the kidnapper.
I choose you first.
Despite the girl's struggles, the kidnapper picked her up in his arms. The moment the girl was being dragged out, Kathy grabbed him and told Ruth to pee on herself. However, the girl's screams still came from outside. A few hours ago, the three girls who had just attended a party hailed a taxi to go home. But after the driver helped them put away their luggage, the girls realized that the person sitting in the driver's seat wasn't the original driver.
Hey! Pardon me, sir, I think you have the wrong car.
Kathy was scared out of her wits by the man's actions. She was terrified when she saw her friend being knocked out by the man. Kathy's mind went blank. By the time she came to her senses and tried to run away, it was already too late. When they woke up, they found themselves locked in a small room. And the one who kidnapped them was the very man who had knocked them out. Facing three beautiful girls, the kidnapper couldn't decide which one to start with. Ruth, who was wearing black stockings, had plump thighs. She was afraid that showing too much would give the kidnapper ideas, so she quietly tugged at her skirt. As a result, she was chosen by the kidnapper. But the next second, the kidnapper threw Ruth back into the room. He shook his hand in disgust and even vomited in nausea. Because Ruth had been so terrified just now, she actually peed herself out of fear. It turned out that the kidnapper had mysophobia and didn't want to touch Ruth anymore, so the other two girls also started peeing on themselves. The kidnapper saw through their intentions. He drove them to the bathroom and snapped at them, forbidding them from relieving themselves wherever they wanted and defiling the sacred food. Upon hearing the kidnapper's words, the girls immediately thought of human sacrifice. The more they thought about it, the more scared they became. Just then, the sound of high heels suddenly came from outside the door. Looking through the crack of the door, they saw a woman wearing a red dress and high heels. They quickly shouted for help, hoping to attract the woman's attention. Unexpectedly, when the door opened, the girls were filled with despair. This woman was actually the kidnapper dressed in women's clothes. Strangely enough, her attitude was extremely gentle. She was completely different from the previous kidnapper. She was also saying some nonsensical things, but not long after, the door opened again. This time, the kidnapper had changed his clothes once more. Kathy watched his every move calmly. After noticing something strange about him, she finally summoned up the courage to ask him his age. In an instant, Kathy realized that the kidnapper had schizophrenia. He motioned for the child to come over. The child shuffled over step by step. Kathy tried to get the child to talk more. From the child's words, they learned that there was another exit in this room. After the child left, the three of them started searching the room. Sure enough, they heard a hollow sound coming from the ceiling. So Kathy picked up her high heels and started smashing hard because the noise was too loud. It was heard by the child outside. He started slamming into the door. The two girls held the door tightly. Fortunately, the child outside wasn't strong enough and couldn't break the door down. The child started to get anxious, so the child's personality summoned the kidnapper again. Thankfully, Kathy had already managed to climb up. Finally, she crawled through the passage and came outside the room. Looking at the long corridor, she couldn't find the exit. Seeing that the kidnapper was about to catch up, Kathy could only hide in the closet first, just when she thought she had escaped danger. The next second, the kidnapper appeared in front of her again.